All right, friends, it's T, and I'm back with another video. It's Jason Blaha, Strength and Fitness, our beautiful lifting slave. It says isolation exercises should be used to work muscle fibers. The big movement, the big movements missed. Yeah, that's what they are. They work your muscle fibers. Yeah, okay. They're the limbs. They're the limbs. Yes, they're the limbs. Okay. Let's review this video. I don't know.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to chat with you guys a little bit about why we oftentimes need to combine a compound with an isolation movement for our lagging muscle groups, our muscles that really just suck.
Compound with an isolation because you're not particularly using that. Here's the thing. Yeah, isolation with compound movement. The compound movement is more of a type of gravitational loading. It's a type of it's a type of gravitational loading, unloading. And an isolation movement is an eccentric concentric movement. I'm not saying compound movement is not eccentric concentric, but not the entire body. The eccentric concentric is isolated to the back and the leg area. So, yeah, I mean, they are getting a type of compound movement. These smaller muscles, but it's more isometric. That's why I was trying to explain once in another video. The compound movements are isometric, so you get something called a gravitational loading. That is a type of hypertrophy. You could say that. It is a type of hypertrophy, gravitational loading. Every time you go home, you unload. That is a problem with gravitational loading, unloading. So you have to keep up with it by constantly coming in and lifting. Yeah. So why do they do these isolation movements for smaller body parts? Again, it's based on eccentric concentric movements. That's the reason. If it's a compound movement, it's isolation. If it's eccentric concentric, then that's separate too as well. You're gonna get something is going to happen, but you need to be careful. There's two types of hypertrophy. There is what we would call sarcoplasmic and myofibrillar. It may not be myofibrillar that you're looking for, and you may be getting sarcoplasmic, like the 99% of the majority of people lifting in the gym. That's about it. He doesn't have it entirely wrong here. Isolation exercises should be used to work muscle fibers. They do. I guess isolation. Yeah, it doesn't have it too wrong here.
In my case, my biceps are a perfect example, right? My biceps are a great example. Obviously, I got back for days. I got leg for days. Biceps, not so much. So this is stuff I have to deal with as a coach. Obviously, our different lifters are going to have different deficiencies. But, I mean, arms are a great example. And when it comes to combining
they're not going to have a deficiency. You're just looking for a cosmetic look is what you're doing. That's why he's doing these things.
Compound with an isolation. And yes, I'm going to start using these body...
Look, these isolation movements really are to target each muscle group. It's a cosmetic look you're looking for. The problem is that muscle has something that is protected. That's why myofibrillar growth is really hard to get, because it is protected by something called the repeated bout effect phenomenon. See that? Protects muscle from being damaged. It refers to the adaptation. It's an adaptation. Your body adapts rapidly when you come into the gym. That's what they're trying to tell you in this map. They're trying to tell you that muscle rapidly adapts. So when you're untrained first training, you get a satellite, you get a relative amount of damage there. I wouldn't say that is massive damage. I would say that it was subtle damage. A small amount of damage. There is massive damage and there's subtle damage, is what you guys are getting in the gym because you don't know what you're doing, and so you get this and then these cells they hypertrophy, and then that's it. Basically, reaches an MND size limit. That's what happens there, but it is the problem is it is protected from any more damage. That damage is right here. See that? Notice that the detraining, retraining, they're not getting any more. Why? Because it's protected by, the damage is protected by this. Even the subtle damage, the massive, the subtle, it's protected. I'm not saying that some people are not getting damage in a gym. Occasionally they are. You know what I mean? Occasionally they get some damage. And they get something called a delayed onset muscle soreness. But I can't tell you how much damage they're getting according to that delayed onset muscle soreness. It could last 3, 4, for some people even 5 days, even 6, depends. Depends on how much damage they're getting. If it's a small amount of damage, you'll just get a fusion. If it's a larger damage, you'll get myofibular growth. You'll get more fiber growth and myofibular growth. So you'll get a fusion and you'll get new myofibers. So it's really dependent on what you're doing.
Bodybuilder terms, because they're the current modern nomenclature, irrespective of if they're scientifically accurate or not. People understand what you're saying. So, the reason isolation movements are oftentimes extremely valuable here in these sort of combinations has nothing to do with the fact that they're isolating a muscle. So when people get this idea, well, you've got to make it super strict, that's not why. It's because if we select really good ones, we are training a different function or a different...
If you can't get over repeated bout effect, your exercises are sarcoplasmic hypertrophy exercises. I'm telling you, it's sarcoplasmic, which is artificial muscle growth. It's a type of artificial muscle growth. There isn't any strength involved there. So you are getting adaptations in strength through androgen receptors. That's about it. This, as a coach, you should know these things as a coach.
A set of fibers inside that muscle that we're not getting with the big movement.
I'm simply telling you this is what the person is getting doing these exercises or whatever the hell they're doing there. I'm not coaching anybody on this. I'm simply pointing out what your coach is getting. If you continue in this behavior, that is what you're going to get, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. You understand me? So it's your job to figure out how to get around repeated bout effect, MND size limit. See what I mean? I know how to get over MND size limit.
That makes sense. Okay? Hopefully we're understanding this. So in other words, you're looking at the arms, right? Look at what's happening with the pull-up. So in this case, let's say I'm doing a pull-up, because I do a lot of pull-ups. I like pull-ups. I think they're a phenomenal exercise.
I think people get scared when they read this. They get scared when they read this. They think, what? MND size. So they get scared. They go, well, MND size has a ceiling limit during hypertrophic process beyond which extra myonuclei are donated by solid cell to support further muscle growth. Yeah, it is beyond, because it has a limit. That size per fiber has a limit. The muscle cell is multinuclear, and each nucleus controls transcription activity in the surrounding territory of cytoplasm called myonuclear domain, MND size. So it controls it. Here, look. In other words, here it is, you get a fusion and they hypertrophy. So you get hyperplasia, hypertrophy. First comes hyperplasia, then comes hypertrophy. And then these muscle cells, the new cells, they get bigger, but they reach, you could call this, it reaches a nuclear domain size limit, an MND size limit. See what I mean? Right here. This is the MND size limit. It can't get any bigger. Notice how when it atrophies, and then they call this muscle memory. So let's say it atrophied, you went away, detrained, you retrain, and it gets bigger. But it comes back as the same size. It doesn't get any bigger because it reaches an MND size limit. So what do you need to do to pass MND size limit? You need to get more of these satellite cells. That's what you need to do. You need to get more muscle cells to bypass MND size. That's all.
The day this
Otherwise, it's going to be sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, fake muscle growth.
video was taken, I did 100 pull-ups before I did my curls. Right, I did 100 pull-ups throughout my workout in between my other exercises. So, pull-ups. But if you look at what's going on with a pull-up, yes, it will help develop the biceps. It'll definitely help with the brachialis, the radial brachialis, all of those things. Your forearms. It even helps the long head of the tricep a little. But when you look at the line of pull involved with a pull-up, what's one of the blaringly obvious things? The hand's completely pronated. It's a great exercise. We need to be clear. A pull-up is definitely
I would say the pull-up is pretty good. But if you're adapted, then it's worthless. It's not going to give you any more adaptations. And the body rapidly adapts to whatever it's doing. It rapidly adapts to that as a means of protection. So you don't get rhabdo or something.
foundational exercise that will help you get real jacked and real strong. Right?
Yeah.
At the source, find hundreds of gifts they'll
Jacked and real strong. Right?
Yeah, you get real jacked and real strong. You're gonna get jacked through sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. You're gonna get strong because you're practicing at getting good at doing this. So your body compensates you with androgen receptors for that force production. There you go. And so what?
I mean, I've got a pretty decent back. I think it's pretty obvious. Watching here pull-ups have definitely helped my
His back is kyphosis. What's he talking about? Looks like the hunchback.
back. I think anyone's going to argue with that point. Hopefully, they're not going to argue with that point.
He looks like an ordinary guy walking down the street with 12-inch arms.
Got a decent back for an old guy who's almost 50. So, pull-ups, but they are an arm exercise, and you can't forget
You aren't almost 50. What are you talking about?
that. The data is pretty clear that vertical pulls actually are much better than rows. For
The guy says he's 46 years old. Man, he looks really old for 46, bro. I'm telling you, he looks old. I look young for 56. You understand me? Like literally, if you see me in my videos, I'm not even the best on camera, but in reality, in all reality, I look young, bro, for 56. You understand me? I have nice hair. I got hair and everything. I look all right. But 46, he looks terrible. It looks like he's retired, 75 years old. Look at this.
arm growth, it's been seen in plenty of studies, right? May not always be as good as a curl, but let's
The problem is he's a chronic lifter. He's accelerating aging. This is why I try to explain people are slaves to these things. These things will age you. What you're doing, you're accelerating aging. You're like a factory worker that hates his job, his physical job, aging himself. That's what physical jobs do. They age you. I could prove it. I could show you a bunch of sheep herders in the mountain, a bunch of women. They're 30 years old. They go, how old are you? They go, they're 30. Yet they look like they're 50, 60 years old. They said the job, because of them working so hard physically out there in nature, they're working so hard physically. Their job, goat herding and doing a bunch of weird stuff, cooking, cleaning, sewing, doing weird things there. I don't know. They work so hard. And they're almost like nomadic. They keep moving around.
come over to what's going on with a curl here. So you combine a curl with it. What are we trying to do here? And I'm just using this as an example.
I don't think this is fun to accelerate your aging and possibly get diseases and who knows what down the line. It's not healthy, man.
We could use a lot of different movements, but as for purposes of this video, let's discuss it. All right, we're in a supine position.
You know, Blaha is the type of guy that would challenge you. Let's see who depletes the satellite cell pool first.
The bicep is being hit at quite a bit of a different angle. Now, I want people to notice I am doing a full range of motion curl. Notice I don't care about being too strict on this one because the strictness is not necessary. Either you're working a muscle or you aren't. It's not the fact that you're trying to isolate it.
All right.
Do a stretch position. I'm coming all the way up.
He doing a reverse curl now? No. He's doing regular curls again.
And then I have a pretty good eccentric overload because it's kind of heavy. Okay? Keep the primary function. But what's happening at the top there?
You think he's ever tried to do like one long set? Like one long set. For example, maybe a set of 50 for each muscle group. Or it could even be a set of 60, maybe 70, I don't know, 80. You can go as high as you want, up to 100. One set of 100 for each muscle group. Then you wouldn't have to keep coming back and doing all that. Now would you?
Shoulder extension, one of the two heads of the bicep.
Why does he do 10 and stop? Ask yourself this question. Why do people just do 10 reps and stop? Can you do 100? Of course you can. Can you do 50? Sure. Can you do 60? Yeah. What would happen if you were to do, let's say, a 60 rep set for each muscle group? You did 60 reps for each muscle group. Whatever weight that you're starting and finishing with. I don't know. You'd have to find out. See what I mean?
Only one of them is involved in that. Right? I'm not talking about the upper lower. I'm talking about the left versus right, the inside versus outside. One of those heads attaches differently.
I know in the past people would do 100 rep sets I knew people would do 100 rep set, man. I know people that could do that. They would do that.
But when we look at then you would get on a supine grip curl like this with a straight bar.
He's all over the place. So he's doing pull-ups and then he's doing his biceps and pull-ups, biceps. This guy's all over the place. They're so adapted at this point. They're never going to grow. Except for eat potatoes, you get sarcoplasmic hypertrophy.
Okay, so that's a different, like 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, hand grip. Right?
If he drinks more of those Kool-Aids, he's definitely going to get his arms to 13 inches.
I don't want any, well, a lot of the lateral head of my
More pull-ups.
tricep got worked. Let's make sure that long head gets a little bit of work. That is how you should think about isolation.
I think people think that more is better. More ages you, and doing more of something doesn't necessarily get you more of what you're looking for. It will get you less. Doing more of something will get you less of what you're looking for. I'll explain this. If you do more of something, you will accelerate aging. That doesn't correlate to I'm going to live longer. Doing more of anything gives you less of something. So think about it. If you're chronically lifting in the gym and you're looking to get myofibrillar growth, then you should do less if you want more. But if you keep doing more, you're going to get less. If anything, you're going to get nothing. So there you go. You're just going to wear your body out and accelerate aging. That's why this is foolish lifting, foolish training. It's stupid. You can't get anything out of anything doing more of something. And everybody that does physical jobs know this. It's instinctual. It tells you. That's why you get these goofs that tell you, I reached the genetic limit. I have a natty limit. I'm a hard gainer. Why? Because your instincts are telling you you've reached an MND size limit. Get it? And now you come in chronically lifting, thinking you're going to get something, and in fact you are. And it's going to be not what you're looking for. It's going to be sarcoplasmic. I'll see you in the next one. Tell us what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends.